Welcome to Simplify to Scale, a show dedicated to helping you scale a high impact and high profit business that you love without all of the complexity and chaos that can keep you trapped in the day-to-day. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and with decades of scaling experience, I know what actually works and what's just hype. So if you are done with all of the one-size-fits-all scaling advice and all of the overnight success promises, and instead you want proven practical strategies that will help you simplify operations, elevate your leadership, amplify profits, and scale sustainably, let's dive in and get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Simplify to Scale show. Today, we're going to be talking about the three critical things that I see as being needed as we look forward to the next year and how to really stand out, how to really differentiate yourself, and how to make sure that you have a business that is both scalable and sustainable. So this episode is really relevant for any business owner who's looking to scale in the new year, but it's especially relevant for anyone who works with other businesses. So there's three core pieces that I've been focused on quite a bit lately. I've been working with all of my private clients on this. I've been working with those inside our certification programs on it. And as I'm getting ready to be launching our Soul Collective for the very first time publicly, instead of it being something that's only available internally to those who I'm working with, these are the three areas that I've decided to laser focus in because I think they are the ones where most businesses are gapped. They're the ones where I see most people who are trying to support other businesses to achieve their goals, to grow the business or to scale the business, have an area where they can better distinguish themselves and where they can grow to stand apart from others in their market, especially if they're a little bit more seasoned in what they're doing. So I'm going to walk you through the three of them at a high level, and then we're going to deep dive into each one so you can be thinking about how you want to be integrating this into what you're doing as you look forward to next year. So the very first one is strategic leadership. The second is AI enablement. And the third is really getting clear on what your signature positioning is. And I think that these three are critical for a few different reasons. First of all, they're very much what your clients need when it comes to strategic leadership and AI enablement. They are the things that are going to help you distinguish and differentiate what you do. They are also the things that are going to make a really big difference, not only in your own business, but in your clients' businesses. And so I think these are absolutely critical. But the one where I'm seeing a lot of businesses struggle is with signature positioning. Right now, so many businesses sound the same. It's like the sea of sameness. With everyone using the same AI tools, everything is starting to sound exactly the same. Wherever you go, if you look at people who have a similar service that they provide and you pay close attention to what they put out on social media, on their marketing, on their website, in their email copy, if you look, it doesn't sound very different from the next business and the next business and the next business. And I think there was always similarities, but now with people using AI more heavily, especially when it comes to content, everything really starts to sound the same. And because of that, it makes it really challenging for someone who's looking to hire you or looking to invest in your services or your offers to be able to see how you are different than other people who do what you do, even though you may be more experienced. You may have a different, very signature way of getting people results than someone else does. You may have something that's very unique and different about what you do that makes you feel very confident that you are the best possible choice for your clients. However, if they can't see it, if on the surface to them, you sound just like everybody else, or they can't quite grasp what makes you more unique or makes your services worth more of an investment, then it's going to be a challenge to actually get in front of and get new clients to say yes. And that is the opposite of what we need, especially in a market where buying cycles are a little bit slower and people are less trusting. So not only does it help to eliminate some of the confusion in your client's mind, really help them get more clear in how you are different and why you are the only choice for what they're looking for, but it also helps you in delivering an exceptional client experience. Because when you position what you do differently, people don't expect you to do what they heard everyone else say that they're going to do. When you don't talk the exact same way, when you don't say the exact same things, they are holding you to the standard of what you said not the standard of what they heard everyone else say. And you might say, yeah, well, I have a contract, and in the contract, it's really clear what I do and what I don't do. Yes. And if people have this interpretation, or they hear that what you do sounds similar to something they expect or they've heard someone else do, that can get a little muddy, and that's not what you want. So signature positioning, it's something that will absolutely help your client to a degree, but that is one that is all about helping you to stand out in a very noisy, very crowded market. And it is the thing that it's going to make it a lot easier for your clients to see what makes you different, to say yes to your services, and ultimately make it a lot simpler for you to deliver an incredible client experience. So that's signature positioning, but let's rewind back to the first two with strategic leadership and AI enablement. So something you've heard me say on a lot of prior episodes is that the future of operations is strategic. And the reason I say that is because the future of small business is strategic. So regardless of how operationally aligned you consider your work, the reality is what small businesses need, what they need from the consultants that they work with, the advisors that they partner with, the right-hand leaders that they bring in, anyone who they are choosing to invest in when they look to the future, what they really need is strategy and leadership. Those are some of the two most critical pieces of what they are not going to be able to get in a really meaningful way from AI, especially as AI capabilities keep advancing and advancing really rapidly, especially with some of the more complex, multi-layered things that agents and some of the newer functionality is introducing. But when you think about what a founder really wants in their business, they have this beautiful, incredible, big, bold vision for what they want, or at least at one time they did. Today, that vision might just be like, how do I get out of the red and back into the black, right? Everyone's in a different place. But generally speaking, most people, especially if you work with businesses like I do, who tend to be very passion fueled, they tend to be very mission driven, they're very impact oriented. They probably started their business because they were here for something bigger than just simply making money. There's something that they really want to achieve. And even within that, they probably have certain financial targets that they want to set. They might have certain growth milestones or scale milestones that they're thinking about. So they have this blend of very like inwardly mission driven focus balanced with this very kind of growth and scale oriented focus. Most businesses do at different points in their entrepreneurial journey. And so if you think about that's what they really want, the number one thing that most founders want is I've got this thing, I've got this place I want to go to. I'm not entirely sure how to get there, or I don't know how to get there in the most simple, the most streamlined, the most effective way so that I'm actually remaining profitable. I'm not killing myself and working myself and my team into the ground. And ultimately, I'm hopefully enjoying the journey along the way, right? I mean, all businesses, it doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter what they sell, doesn't matter who they sell to. Ultimately, the business has a vision that they want to achieve. They have a financial target that they want to hit. Sometimes those two are intertwined, sometimes they're complementary, and they typically want to be as profitable as possible, and they don't want to have to work any more than they need to. That's kind of universal across almost any single business. Well, how do you do that? You do not do that through more tactics. And yes, someone needs to roll up their sleeves and get stuff done in a business. But at the end of the day, what's most important typically, and where the biggest gap is in most businesses, especially small businesses, but this is true of really any business, is in strategic leadership. It's the ability to think strategically. It's the ability to take that vision and actually be able to architect what the business needs to achieve it. So the right team structure, the right systems and structure and ecosystem, putting the right practices in place, building the right infrastructure underneath the business to hold it all and to be able to scale where they want the business to go. The person who could process the founder's 400,000 brilliant ideas that they have every single day and figure out which ones actually make sense to pursue right now and which ones not to. The leadership to make sure that there is a return on the financial and time investment, that people are focused and staying focused on the right things. The leadership and the strategy coming together to connect the dots in the business, to anticipate things that are going to be coming that the founder's not thinking about, that the team might not be thinking about. The ability to hold the bigger picture when everyone else is focused on their individual fragments and pieces. This is very much that role of a CSOO that I certify and mentor people in, that chief strategy and operating officer. But this is really true of anyone who works within a business. Even if you have a particular function, maybe you go in and you do website design, or maybe you go in and you do SEO geo services, or maybe you go in and you do operational services, right? Whatever your particular focus is, either way, you want to be looking at not only the big picture for what you're doing, but thinking strategically about how what you're doing is integrating with the rest of the business. Even if it's not fully in the scope of what you do, if you want it to be a long-term retainer, if you want the ability to go back and work with this person again, the reality is if you can't integrate what you're doing and what you're delivering with how the business is run and how the business is planning to grow or scale, then it's going to be a one-time see ya, thank you type of experience. And that's not what you want. So this is where that strategy really comes into play, being able to take that vision, being able to look at the right things that need to be done in the right order by the right people with the right structure, and then the leadership to actually see it through, make sure that it happens. And there is so much that needs to happen in strategic leadership that people just simply are not taught. People are taught a ton of tactics. People are taught a ton of tools. People are taught how to do a lot of different things. What most people are not taught well is how to think, how to truly think. And if you happen to be more operationally minded, learning how to think like a visionary and talk to a visionary is absolutely critical. Something I talk about all of the time is becoming more of a visionary whisperer, which is both understanding what a visionary is saying and not saying as an operator, and also understanding how to communicate effectively with a visionary if you're an operator. But this is true in the inverse as well. If you're a visionary, how do you communicate well with your right hand person? How do you translate vision into operator speak? Not that you need to necessarily, but if you can't ask for what you need in a way that the team who's supporting you can understand enough to go and take it and make it a reality, you run a high risk that your vision is going to be misinterpreted and therefore not actually delivered. And so it's this fine art blended with science, but really heavy on the art when it comes to strategic leadership and how you actually achieve meaningful, sustainable, scalable results in a business. And when I think to the future, especially with AI capable of doing so much more of the execution and even getting really sophisticated with what it could do with some of the more thinking elements of things, I think that strategic leadership is going to be a huge differentiator, like absolutely critical differentiator. And that is why I decided to go all in on this. I'm releasing a private podcast. I'm going to be going every single month, really deep diving into a particular topic on strategic leadership. And then I'm doing an open forum Q&A where we could come and talk about it and talk about real scenarios and real situations that you're experiencing in the businesses that you're partnering with or within your own business. And so I think this is going to be a huge differentiator going forward. But then to couple that with it is AI enablement. And so, on one hand, you want to be doing the pieces that AI can't really do, which is the strategic leadership, can't do well, can't orchestrate the entire business together, can't handle all the personalities, can't navigate all of the difficult conversations, and being that bridge between the founder and the team in whatever capacity you work with the business, right? That falls in strategic leadership camp. But at the same time, somebody needs to understand how and where to leverage AI in the business. Where does AI add value versus where does it create noise and distraction? How do you take an AI agent and integrate it into your team? How do you architect a lean dream team of the future where that team is realistically a blend of people and AI? It's not going to look the same, and AI is going to increasingly be leveraged in ways that we probably can't even comprehend or imagine right now. So, who is going to be the person in the business who understands it well enough to either be able to implement it, to be able to lead the implementation of it, or to be able to strategize on how what you're doing fits in and where and how AI should be a part of that versus not? And so that's why I think you have to be really fluent in AI. You have to understand it, and you have to understand where and when to use it and where and when not to use it and be able to communicate why. But more importantly, you also need to be able to architect the ecosystem of what you do through the lens of where AI should plug in. And so, what we're doing inside Soul Collective for this is a little bit different, right? We know that most people understand AI well enough. Most people can open up a Chat GPT or a Claude or something like that and use it. Most people still, unfortunately, way under leverage AI and use it more for content production. That's one of the few things I do not use AI much for, but I use it for pretty much everything operationally. There is a lot that you can do that most people don't even think about. So, what we're doing is every single month, we're doing live AI implementation labs, and we are taking real world use cases, things that people are asked to do or that they need to do every single day when they are partnering with another business. And we are rolling up our sleeves and collaboratively implementing it. You're getting the entire system for how we do it and how we leverage it handed to you. So that includes all of the prompts, all of the thinking, all of the prep and everything that you want to get the result. But more importantly, instead of you just learning something, you're actually doing it. We're doing it together. And so the AI implementation labs are being led by Jess. And we're really looking at how do you position yourself as the one who understands and stays on top of where AI is valuable? How do you know and keep up with how to actually go and implement it or lead that implementation? We're going to do that together. And if you think about, I don't know if you get newsletters or if you see on social media all of the different advancements every day, there are so many new things that are coming out in the space of AI. It can be really overwhelming to try to stay on top of it. Like I know at the time of this recording, one of the big ones is that Notion just added a lot of AI agent capabilities. And if you leverage Notion, which we do very heavily for the playbooks that we build for our clients and the playbooks that we have internally at Lean Out Method and at Strategic Ops Institute, well, the way that the AI agents are operating, it actually simplifies so much of this. If you're using Notion for your marketing campaigns, your social media, if you're using it for anything within your business, the capabilities are somewhat unreal. It's incredible what it can do today. And that's at the time I'm recording this. By the time you're listening to it, it might be so far advanced beyond what it's capable of today. And so this next month, we're actually leading a workshop. It's going to be hands-on interactive. And we are going into Notion because we know most of our clients use Notion. Most people use Notion with their clients because of the capabilities. And we're rolling up our sleeves and we are actually hands-on looking at how we can use AI agents to both create, optimize, and sustain a company playbook. If you do not have one yet, this will help you create one. If you already have one, this will help you optimize and sustain it in a way that's going to cut down on hours significantly. This is something that you can and potentially should be selling or adding into packages of what you do for your client, depending on what your service offerings are. And so we're taking real world use cases, real world tools, and we're using them. So this isn't going out and getting some other AI tool. This is leveraging the functionality within the tool that you have. This is a pretty significant capability that was added. So this is the use case that we're focused on in the coming month. But it's this sort of thing that we're doing together every single month. So what I would say is absolutely join us in Soul Collective. This is how you become one of the few people who can actually leverage AI in ways that are practical, that are impactful, and that are future focused. But we also keep up on all of those changes, all of the things that are going on, so you don't have to. We let you know the things that you should pay attention to, the functionality that just got added to the tool sets that you probably use all of the time that you want to be paying attention to. And if it's something meaningful like this, we will absolutely do a hands-on interactive workshop. We do one every single month. And if you are not joining Soul Collective, find a way to do this. You have to have AI fluency. I truly believe that you want your business to be AI enabled, but you also want your clients' businesses to be AI enabled. And something I've said on past episodes, but it's worth repeating, is to me, AI is not meant to replace everything. There's certain places where AI can add a lot of value and other places where human touch, human interaction, especially if you have a high touch, high value, high ticket service, are absolutely critical. But to me, when you use AI in the right places and in the right way, it creates the capacity to be able to do a more luxe, more high touch client experience. And that to me is what it's all about. Where can you leverage AI capabilities to automate or simplify or streamline in the places that don't need the human touch so that you have the capacity and the space to actually do that where it matters most? And so this is so much of what we're focused on, as I said, in Soul Collective, but I do think it's something that you want to be thinking about in your business as well, even if you do not offer AI services. If you have very little to do with AI services, you still need to know this stuff, and you are leaving money and time on the table in your own business if you're not doing it. But your clients are going to be asking you questions on it. So, this is how you stay up to date on things without having to spend all of your time reading every new release and learning every new thing. We kind of do that piece for you, and then we work with you each month to implement and take action on it. And then again, with your signature positioning, making sure that people can recognize how you're different, why you are not only the one, but the only one that they should be working with for what you do. One of the things that we're doing in Soul Collective that I actually have done for the past year inside my certification programs, and I've decided to make available to those outside of the certifications who are in the collective, is we're going through our soul archetypes. So this is something you might hear me talk about on some upcoming episodes. I'm not sure. I might just keep it purely behind the paywall because it's pretty advanced and pretty powerful stuff. But when it comes to understanding how to sell to the client that you're working with, understanding where they're at in their cycle of business. And I do not mean their phase of business, their stage of business. I mean their cycle of business. And every business, no matter how many years they've been in business, no matter how seasoned they are, no matter how successful they are, go through a few very distinct cycles. And so I walk through what those cycles are. And then I help people understand where their natural strengths and where their team's natural strengths, if they have more of an agency or consultancy model, fall, and how to make sure that you are using the right language, the right positioning, the right marketing, and even sometimes the right packaging and pricing and positioning of your services holistically to attract the type of client who's in the cycle that you best support, or moving into the cycle that you best support, and how you can repel and naturally turn off the buyer who's in the cycle that you do not want to work with. And this has been so eye-opening for people. Hands down, I would say probably at least half of people, if not more, when we go through this, have this aha moment where they realize all of the language I've been using, all of the language that ChatGPT or the AI tools gave me, have me talking to the wrong person. They have me talking to the exact cycle that I do not want to work with, the cycle that drains the life out of me. And now I'm realizing why I'm having people coming in and asking so many questions about pricing. I'm understanding why when this person signs on, there's such a drain. And it's because without realizing it, they're inadvertently attracting somebody who is in a cycle of business that is a very difficult cycle of business to work through. And I will say a lot of businesses are in this cycle right now or just coming out of this cycle. And so knowing this is super important. And so this is something I've put together based on my 30 years as a business owner and consulting with businesses of all shapes and sizes, from Fortune 50, Fortune 10 clients down to small businesses. And so I've pulled all of this together into a very specific framework that helps you understand the life cycle of a business different than I've heard anybody talk about before. And more importantly, understand your particular archetype and where you best support that business. So you understand the language to use to speak directly to what your clients need most. Again, this was one of those things that to me, it's just so natural and intuitive because this is something I've done for so long. And then I shared it with people, and they found this to be one of the most impactful things in their work with me. And so I added it into the certification programs, and I had the exact same reaction. And so I finally, it took me a little deliberation to figure out if I wanted to take this beyond the certification programs and put it in Soul Collective, because the price difference between the two is really significant. Right now, Soul Collective is only $1,000 for an entire year. And so I was like, do I want to put this in Soul Collective? But when I really thought about it, having your positioning down and having your signature positioning down is so critical and so important. I decided that I was putting it in Soul Collective. So to recap, the three things that I think are going to be absolutely critical if you work with other businesses, is ensuring that you are focused on strategic leadership, AI enablement, and signature positioning. And even if these are things that you feel are superpowers of yours, you feel like you're really strong in one of them, two of them, all three of them, these are things that are going to require continual focus and continual fine tuning to make sure that you are really standing out. You're able to differentiate what you do, and you're ultimately able to deliver incredible value to your clients so they retain, they refer, and you're not as impacted by changes in the market. And if this is something that you would like to do together with me and with Jessica and with my team, as I shared, I am opening up Soul Collective for the very first time to the public. It has historically only been something that those in our certification programs get access to, but we are now letting in a small number of people. I'm thinking 100. I'll see where it goes. And if I let in more than that, or if I cap it sooner. But right now, the very first 50 people who join can get in for only $1,000 for the entire year. So if this is of interest to you, highly recommend that you head over to strategicopsinstitute.com/collective. You can find all the details. You'll find that link down below in the show notes as well. Check it out. Join us. We do 2 live calls per month. That's it. We intentionally keep it very lean. We make it super value packed. You do not need a huge library stuffed with a whole bunch of stuff that you're never going to use. You do not need an abundance of calls every single week that you don't have time to show up for, and then you feel guilt or like you wasted your money because you weren't participating. You have 2 calls per month, and that is it. One is the live AI implementation lab. They're all recorded, so if you can't make it, you can always go and take action later. But that one, interactive, you're going to be taking a real world use case and implementing on it in real time with Jessica and I. Jessica leads those. And then I have a private audio feed that I drop every single month. It's called Soul Unfiltered. And the way that I do this is right at the start of the month, you get the audio file. And then we actually do a live Q&A together mid-month. So the calls are Tuesdays at 6 p.m., the first and third Tuesday of the month. First Tuesday is the AI workshop. Third Tuesday is the live open forum Q&A with me. We are going to talk about the topic for that particular month. The next one coming up, I'm focused on being a visionary whisperer and really being able to help your clients to achieve that beautiful, big, bold vision that they have in a way that they can hear, in a way that they can understand, and in a way that inspires them to take the actions and make the decisions that they need to actually move their business forward without getting in their own way. It's a lot of the questions that I get asked from my private clients and from those in the certification. So I'll be releasing the audio so you could listen at your own pace and then join me live for the interactive Q&A to talk through specific scenarios that you have in your own business or with clients. And so that's just a little taste of what we have coming up next month. We do this every single month. And we have a really fantastic community where you will be with your peers, able to talk through everything related to strategy and leadership and scaling and AI and positioning, all of the things that will help you stand out and have a wildly successful business as you go into next year. I'd love to see you inside the collective and get to interact with you in the Q&A calls. I hope you got a lot of value in this episode and it helped you think through some of what will be really important as you look forward to next year. And I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Simplify to Scale. If you'd like to take things further, I invite you to join me for my Scale Smarter, Not Harder interactive workshop. Head to strategicopsinstitute.com/scale smarter to get registered. Not only will we dive into what might be keeping you trapped in the day-to-day, but you'll have the opportunity to ask me your questions live. If you got value out of today's episode, I'd love if you'd take a moment and rate and review the show so more businesses can learn to scale more simply and sustainably. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you again next week.